Hey guys,
Here we
episode
are,
6.
podcast episode 6, the Waka family.
And we are back in a room in the village.
Yeah, our lovely blue room with now purple curtains and some pink flowers.
Hey, but the curtains are upgrade.
Yeah, they are an upgrade.
But
So,
no more air conditioning. No more.
ooh,
Yeah,
yeah, we were in Suva and Seaqaqa and Nandi for what?
too long.
Too long, and we were in air conditioning.
Obviously, because we're like here and just sweating buckets.
It's a harsh heat reality, that's for sure, and the humidity is high.
Let's start off with talking about our personal development program for the year.
Oh, yeah, okay, sure, that sounds good to me.
So me and Steph decided that we need to make some changes, and like for our family, for our relationship, for our spiritual lives, for our physical well-being. And so we basically started like a daily, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Like a daily checklist?
Yeah.
I mean, because I think things got to start by practice, and then eventually it becomes a habit, and it becomes something that you want to do, but it's not always something that you want to do in the beginning.
Yeah,
Right?
and we haven't really like established within Fiji like a good healthy lifestyle, like a routine where we had a routine in Canada.
Yeah.
More so, maybe not as strict as this, but we had a better way of like healthier eating, more exercise. We had more
Yeah.
socializing that kept us more sane. And in Fiji, we're just trying to figure out like, okay, so where does
Again, this is our Fiji in the village
yeah,
in the north.
like where does this all like where does this healthy habit and routine come into play? Like, there's no gym to hit up.
Yeah.
We are in the bush, so you can use like a kettlebell, you can go for walks, but it's wet season right now, so it's just mud. And
So you still gotta just. So basically, what helps is when you have like, an idea of like, like say for instance, like when it comes to the physical stuff, we were like, you know what, we don't feel the best. We've been on holidays for a long time. Like not holidays because wherever we go, we take work with us, but we've been out of our routine, I guess, of being at home and the kids going to school and that kind of stuff. Like we were in Canada, then we were caretaking for our friend in Seaqaqa, and then all this stuff happened with Kai, and so it was time to like get intentional, and so especially about our physical well-being. So what we had for the thing for our physical thing is like 1 hour of physical activity, just dedicated physical activity every day.
well, maybe you should list all the things, and then we can talk about those.
Okay. So I guess yeah. So one is like 1 hour of physical fitness a day. The next is 10 pages of Bible reading, which we'll come back to. 4 liters of water that we have to drink every day, which is a crazy amount. That's probably 4 liters more than we used to drink.
Yeah, we're the worst water drinkers.
What else? Oh, a 30-second hug. We can get into that. And there's one more.
One more to be grateful.
Yeah.
Something to be grateful.
2 more. There's
Eh,
our gratitude, and then our
List of 3 things to accomplish
that day.
that day. So
Yeah.
the 3 things to accomplish, I told John like we have to keep them pretty simple because a lot of things when you say I'm going to accomplish this, you come back with a longer list. Like if you're going to say let's open up a bank account, we go to the bank and they tell you, well, you need to get these 20 things done. Before you can start that process, and then you come home with more to do. So it's hard to check things off. So we need to make like the littlest things part of the 3 things to accomplish, and maybe one more larger thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always. And the 30-second hug, we kind of agreed on this, just as like a good thing for our marriage and relationship, and like paying each other attention and connecting, I guess.
Yeah, and it forces you to slow down.
Yeah.
Because like I don't think we never hug for 30 seconds in a day.
No.
Like I'll give you a hug every now and again.
Yeah.
But or like a kiss. But it's never like a lengthy thing. And I think I read somewhere a while ago that there was like some research done about, like a control group that didn't hug, and then a group of couples that were, told to like hug, and they were like studying both of the groups, and like there was like there's like different like endorphins and stuff that were released in the couple that spent time hugging, and that brought them closer together. And yeah, it was just like the group that spent the time and did the awkward 30-second hug thing ended up being a lot more intimate with each other relationally, not just physically speaking.
What I will say,
Yeah.
I'm really glad, like, when we were speaking about this, you're like, what should we do? Like, 30-second hug, or should we do, like, eye contact, or... And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I like you, and I've known you for a long time. You're my best friend. I don't know if I want to do 30 seconds of eye contact. And I'm good at eye contact, but I'm like, that seems like so long. Like, the awkward, like, every day, because we're going to do this for a year, guys. So it's not like, okay, a couple times, like, for a year.
Yeah.
Just 30 seconds a day just staring at you. Like, I guess it would be good or funny or something, but I'm going to say the hug is not as, like, intense.
Yeah.
Maybe next year we'll level up to, like, eye contact.
No, I think a hug is good enough.
It's so funny.
Yeah, so I'm reading here like it releases oxytocin in your body. I mean, there's even things that say like people who hugged for at least 30 seconds had like lower blood pressure and like lower average heart rates than like when they started the experiment. So, I mean, it's kind of anecdotal, but anyways, you should try it because I think it's been nice. We were only 3 days in,
Yeah.
but
The drinking so much water has been, like, torture. John and I, like, when we got back to the village, we were running around and we had a water bottle with us. And between the two of us, like, we just, like, drank, like, the top little bit above the wrapper between the two of us. And I was like, look, John, we both have 2 sips of water a day and a cup of coffee, and that's our intake of liquid. Good. Like, we're going to suffer through this water intake. And I have been. Like, I have to go to the toilet, like, every 10 minutes. I'm just like, my body is
so
not.
often.
My body is just like, this is too much water. So I'm going to avoid going to town because there's not great bathrooms readily available.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, you can go do all the grocery shopping. Thank you very much.
Well, you can go find nice bathrooms in Lambasa. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a discussion for another day, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of hard in Fiji. Like, I guess for those of you who might be listening to this, like from overseas, like it's not like every store, or every restaurant in Canada like has a washroom, and usually a decent washroom
And like access to their customers, typically.
Yeah, like a bathroom's never a place that like you really love to be, but they're nice and they're access to customers for sure.
And if they're not clean, you're like, this is a horrible store, and you like tell management, you're like, you guys have gross bathrooms, and they like send their staff right away to clean it. You're like appalled. Yeah. Like, what kind of business doesn't
and it's not
have
even for
clean
customers.
bathrooms?
You can just walk in anywhere and use it. They just assume that you're going to come and order something after.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And I think most people do because like there's so many bathrooms everywhere that like usually you just like go have coffee or be at a store and just use the public restrooms.
Oh,
and so yeah.
And
so
well,
anyways,
in Fiji, the hardest part to get used to is like you have to bring your own toilet paper everywhere, because a lot of people here, it's fine. I'm not qualified to use like a water bottle in the bathrooms.
Yeah,
and
can somebody explain to us?
I don't
maybe?
want to. I don't really want to know.
Like I don't understand how the water bottle thing works. Like
it's fine.
So there's bathrooms with no toilet paper and a water bottle.
It's actually probably like, yeah.
Wait,
this is a gross conversation, but it's probably cleaner. It's just I'm not really like, I don't know what.
Well, okay, so a bidet shoots at your butt from underneath.
I don't think we should talk about this. This is just weird. Okay, can we just move on? Okay. Anyway, I'm uncomfortable. I don't really want to talk about this, especially like if people listen to this. So we'll just X-nay that.
Oh my gosh, I don't think it's that big of a deal. We all have to use the washroom. We all got to wipe our butts. Some of us shoot water at our butts, and some of us get to know how to use a bottle from the top somehow. That's
John
what
doesn't
I'm
understand.
literally like, I've held the bottle in my hand, like been in like in a pinch where like I didn't have toilet paper, and I'm like, I simply am not qualified to reverse gravity and know how to like hold a bottle in one hand and somehow clean my bottom when it's
Okay,
like,
John,
what am I
I
doing
can't.
here?
I can't.
So
Okay, can we move on to the
we
workout part of our conversation?
we can move on.
Okay.
So
What do
1
you?
hour of exercise.
What have you been doing for your exercise?
So yeah, the other day I went for a run, and then the other day I did like a like a workout that was like sit ups and squats and lunges when it was pouring rain outside, which was pretty brutal. Like for an hour, it's like a couple hundred squats, 100 lunges, 150 push ups, a bunch of sit ups and stuff like that. But yeah, I've definitely gained weight over the last couple months, and so the run was like reality check. I like went like my normal route, got halfway, like to the halfway point where I usually just turn around and come back, and I'm like, I might just walk home from here. So, yeah.
Did you walk?
Yeah, I walked and ran, and I was just kind of self-loathing all the way home. I don't know, yeah. So I'm kind of, it was a bit of a roller coaster, like, going home, going back to Canada, going like home to see mom and dad and stuff like that, and that was fun. And then coming back to Fiji and trying to take care of a bunch of stuff for a week and a half, and then going to Seaqaqa, and then having this crazy thing happening with Kai. And I think I'm like not in a good headspace. I think my whole, like, this is getting away from the topic, but I think I've not really been thinking about myself, and not in that like, oh, now I'm thinking about other people. I'm thinking about like life, and like, well, like my kids. And we've just got a lot of like nasty news, and I've talked about this on the solo podcast that I did a couple episodes ago, and even we talked about this last week. And it's just like there just seems to be like a lot of like death or near death or sickness around us, and I'm like just not thinking about like, oh, my workouts and like how do I feel. I know that I don't feel the best most of the time, like in the last couple weeks. And I'm not feeling sorry for myself. It's just like, you know I don't know.
Yeah,
It's hard to explain.
it is hard. It's been an interesting season for that. My workouts have been really different than they used to be. After we had Seva, I had some damage in my uterus, so I'm not allowed to do like excessive exercising. I have to work my way up to like build up a muscle.
So this is working your way up.
Yeah, so I gotta work my way up, which I'm not good at. I'm like, give me CrossFit, give me something really hard, and like
Brutal and short.
brutal and short.
Yeah.
But now I have to do like slow and steady, and it's so like my mental stamina is just not there. Like I'm like, okay, I'm a little tired and getting really bored, and so I think I should be done. And that's kind of just like the exercise is not the battle, it's the boredom that I'm like facing. And I'm like, you have to do this, you can do this. And so I've been doing this women's workout program my mom sent me an app for. I think it's called like Women's Health or something like that. Actually, I think pretty much everybody should download this app. It's awesome. It's called what? Oh, I just see that it's like 7M. Anyway, my mom told me it's called like the woman's app. It's just like a big pink symbol with a white W. It gives you 7-minute workouts, and it's for women, so we can just like fit in workouts. I'm still doing a full hour, but I have like this weird disc that I bought that makes you like swivel. So I can do
You stand on it and you just like spin your feet, and you use your core muscles to like spin your lower body.
Yeah, so I've been doing the 7-minute like full body workout, and then I've been doing a half an hour of this swivel thing, and then I'm just doing stretches for my body. I'm trying to bring my flexibility back because it's so pathetic and my lower back hurts all the time. So I thought this is probably like, I can't do a full hour of anything, honestly. Like, I don't have the stamina for it. But I thought, well, if I have to do a whole hour of exercise, then I might as well stretch and, like, get my flexibility back.
It's true. I used to be religious about my stretching. I need to get into that again.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to do that. Like, I'm actually, both of us are actually quite flexible, like, as
Yeah.
people,
Yeah. Yeah.
abnormally, so I would say. And so for me not to be able to, like, touch my toes and, like, put my, like, stomach on my legs comfortably, like, I'm, like, so far from that right now, and I'm like, whoa, this is weird. Like, I've been able to do this all the way in my late 20s. I'm 32, and all of a sudden it's getting so difficult.
Yeah.
It's,
Like, how would you compare, like, what is working out like after having kids, like, than before? Like, okay, consider, like, can you remove the fact, like, you've had, like, problems with your uterus and stuff like that? That
yeah,
means,
well,
like,
because, well, after I had a leaky, I was fine.
right,
Well, I shouldn't say that, but I didn't have this specific problem.
right,
So I remember I did CrossFit to lose all my weight after I had a leaky.
yeah,
Um, and I remember it being, like, so hard because I've always been a relatively in shape person.
yeah,
My parents were really, like, aggressive about, like, you have to play sports, and if we're out, we're always doing something active and running, or I don't know, like, if we're at the beach, we're playing a game. You're not just laying down. Like, let's go and do activity.
yeah.
And then, me and you were quite active together, and I always went to the gym. Not like the most, like, avid gym goer, but I still went
Yeah.
through our marriage.
Yep.
And John is the more of, like, hardcore perfectionist, but I stayed in decent shape. And then once getting into CrossFit after having a leaky, I was just like, ooh, this is so difficult because I have zero stomach muscle. I'm so not ready for this. And it's harder when you're starting from, like, a position of a lack of muscle.
Right, right.
And I think also, like, I've never had to build that. It's just kind of always been there. So that was a little bit hard. But I did notice, like, once I got into shape, because I was really determined to lose all my baby weight before my second kid, because I didn't want to be like,
Like, compound on top of
yeah, I
it.
didn't want to be, like, fat and then, more fat and
Yeah.
then less muscle and, more or less muscle. So it's just like, I just thought, oh my gosh, like, I can't do this. I gotta get back into shape before I have to do this to my body again. And I'm glad I did, because this second time has been so much rougher. And it's taken me till now to be like, okay, I actually just need to buckle down for the year
Yeah.
and get this done. And you'll feel better even though it's torture right now. It's a slow, painful process, but it is worth it. And you kind of just need to know, okay, eventually it will be worth it. And, like, for moms out there, I think, like, I can attest that, like, is that a word, attest? I don't think so. I can vouch for it that it's worth it. Like, once I lost the baby weight for my first son, I felt great. I remember thinking to myself, like, I should have done this way earlier. And so I know I'm going to think that again and just be like, you silly girl, like, you waited 4 years. You could have felt great for 4 years and you just didn't. So any moms out there, it's definitely worth it. You just got to make a few changes, I guess, and put your mind to it. For me, I have to have a really strong goal in mind. My first goal was, I don't want to put more baby weight on my body without losing my first baby weight. So I was really motivated. And I think this year the motivation is just like, whoa, look at all this health stuff going on in our lives and, not great things. We need to be more healthy for our kids. We can't be just letting ourselves deteriorate this. And I think, like, physical health goes along with mental health. And, if nothing, you do it for your kids and your family.
I totally agree. And I think I've always talked about how much I believe that physical health is related to mental health. But I digress.
Yeah. And we're not changing our diet too much. We just said, like, try to do no bread. Fiji, it's hard to get away from bread.
Yeah. I kind of think, and I've told you this in the last couple of days, I think we need to do more with the diet, like, more changing with the diet initially off the get-go, because, like, the thing that we're thinking about is like this is like a long-term thing, and
We
this is
want it
some
to be like a lifestyle change, not just like
yeah.
a
I just think like
diet.
initially like I need this hit, like I gotta lose like 30 pounds that I've gained over the last like few months, and I need like just to crush it out in a few weeks and then like taper it off to something that's like not like normal or not like bad for me, but just
Yeah,
taper it off to something that is like
it's because you
controlled.
don't have the patience for a lifestyle change, sweetheart. You you want to
Yeah,
lose this weight instantly, and it needs to be just a slow, steady progression.
I don't know, man. I struggle with that.
John just wants to eat like cabbage for a month and feel the pain. He just
Yes,
loves pain and agony.
yes. I keep telling Steph, like, you know what's crazy is like if we just like committed to like nothing else, but just like walked every day, all day for like 2 weeks straight, we probably shed so much weight. And then like 2 weeks from now, you look back and be like, oh, that would have been over. 2 weeks would have been over.
Okay.
What?
John's just so extra. We talked about part of this is we're supposed to be doing 10 pages a day of Bible reading. We did
Yep.
one day of 10 pages, and then I told John, like, it's too much. This sounds bad, but I was like, I don't think I can do 10 pages. Like, it's killing me.
That's a really weird way to put it.
Uh,
Like reading your
well,
Bible is killing you.
no, it's just like I'm just zoning out. I'm
Yeah,
not
I think that's part of
reading
it though. I
I'm
think
just
like
like,
you got to get back in. You got to get into like the spending time because like we're obviously not used to that, and so like it's brutal or it's painful or I'm zoning out. Is like probably because we're not in practice.
okay, well,
with that.
anyway, you don't need to sound so judgy over there. John was like, yeah, okay, I agree. Let's cut it down to 5 pages. So that's what we've stuck with.
Right. I
No,
still.
like you sounded so judgy, but then you were like, yeah, okay, I agree.
Well, not for the sake of like less time, but
No, it
for the
wasn't the
sake of.
sake of less time. It was because I'm like, I'm getting
So here's the
nothing out of
thing: is that
this.
like you can not have a schedule, and like I've never had this before. Like I used to read, like our old church had like a reading guide that I used to follow, and when I haven't or have been using that over the last couple of years, like just read until something stands out to you, and that could be within one verse, that could be in 10 pages. But the difference is that like sometimes if you don't have that structure you end up just like cutting it short because like your phone dings and like you answer an email and you get distracted and the kids
Yeah.
come and talk to you or the kids wake up even though you've tried to wake up early, and then it just kind of falls apart and you end up not spending the time. And so the whole purpose of like the 10 pages or whatever length it is that it's like, okay, even if you get interrupted, like good luck because you still have like if you're 5 pages in you still got 5 pages left, buddy. And so it's like it's kind of like starting like off like what I was saying, like with a harsh diet to just get you back on track and just make it rigid and make it like something that like you got to be forced to do. The same thing like with the fitness. Like it's like first it's like a practice thing and you get into the habit and then it'll start to happen more naturally and then you can taper it back to like, you know what, I figured out that like 10 pages doesn't have to be done, but I would rather transition now into like less pages and journaling instead. But like I think this 10 pages thing is just like for us to focus on like having that time spent with.
Well, you keep saying 10 pages, but we have agreed we're going to do 5.
Yeah.
So 5 days a week, we're sticking to all of that stuff. And then 2 days a week, we're cutting out a few things, like exercise, just to make sure we
Bible
can.
reading.
No, we did not cut that out. We're cutting. That's so ridiculous. We're doing 5 pages a day, 5 days a week Bible reading, and then the 2 days a week, whatever we want.
Right.
And then we have gratitude, just something we pick during the day to be grateful for. And I think that's the list, hey?
Yeah, so the gratitude part is like is something that we felt like was important because like some days you wake up and you're like, I just like all of a sudden the stresses of the day just start like overwhelming you. So it's like important to be able to go up to a list and have to check boxes and have to check off like a gratitude box because like at the end of the day like you like look at the gratitude box and it's like, okay, I wasn't thankful for something today or anything today even, And so it's good for me to be able to look at that and to, yeah, think about something that I'm grateful for, whether that's like my kids, being in good health, or, having an awesome relationship with Steph, or whatever that is. I heard an interesting analogy the other day that I told you about. And it was like a business guy talking about like why he wakes up grateful, and like why he's grateful every day that he wakes up. Because he was like, the way I think, like I'm saying it in his words, but he was like, the way I think about it, and he was a man of money, maybe of, whatever you want to say about that. But he's like, would I exchange like not waking up for like $1 million? He's like, no, I'd rather wake up than have $1 million. Would I exchange not waking up for 10 million? No. A billion? No. Like, so obviously waking up is worth more than $1 billion. So the feeling that making $1 billion or making 10 million or whatever that is for you, whatever feeling that has, like some of that at least should be felt when you get up in the morning, because like you wouldn't exchange any amount of money to be dead. So it's like, have
Yeah.
that joy. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting like way to look at it. And like for those people who are like driven by money or like have goals like wealth wise, I think that's like a practical thing. It's like, you know what, $1 million would make me pretty freaking happy right now. So, but I woke up and that's worth a lot more than $1 million. So I'm gonna be happy today,
Yeah.
or be happy about the fact that I got to get up today.
Well, and I think like we have lots to be thankful for in general, like between me and you. Even like we have this random opportunity to supply turmeric to exporter in Suva. I think we talked about this last time. We put out a post for people on our island to see if we can get enough. They want like 5 to 10 tons
Yeah,
per
a week.
week. So that's a big demand, and we've had a decent amount of response. The thing is, we're just waiting to see, like, okay, we're going to get some response. Will those responses actually follow through and become something? And can we actually rely on that? And then we're just kind of planning out, like, okay, how much groundwork are we going to have to do? How much running around are we going to have to do? Who do we want to bring on to work with us to help with the
Yeah,
logistics? There's so many ins and outs to the big.
and it's also like, it's also hard to know who's gonna or what's gonna happen on the day that we arrange the delivery, which is this
Yeah.
upcoming Thursday. Or, and it's also frustrating from the point that like this was kind of like everything that I've been hoping to be able to do agriculture wise.
Yeah.
Like in the last little while. Obviously we have our goals with sandalwood and everything like that, but agriculture has been a real drag and it's been tough. And so this was like, you know what? All the big money players in the agriculture game seem to be the middlemen. That's what I've learned in the last few years. And so, how do we, how do we get some of that market, or become middlemen, I guess, that don't rip off the farmers? Because I'm also been a farmer the last few years, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I've been trying my hand at farming, and it's been hard because
Yeah.
I haven't been able to find somebody who's honest, who's forthcoming with all the details of what they want in a product. You're
Yeah.
like, you take a product that they say they want, and then they're like, oh no, this is not a good quality, or this is not what we're looking for. And so to be middlemen that honor the farmers, obviously everybody still needs to make money.
Yes.
But I think with this turmeric, like we're able to offer a better price than the market is able to offer here in Lambasa, and which is exciting to me. It's like 30 or 40% more, which is a lot. And like turmeric, for those of you who don't know, in Fiji, it just grows wild, and it's a weed. And like I have it all over my farm, and I just plow it down, and it comes up, and we just pull it out and throw it away. And so like it's something that, why I'm saying that is like it's almost like it's free income for people, because they don't have to
Yeah.
plant it, water it, weed it. It just grows.
It
All you
just
have to
grows.
do is go, and now like I've been able to do some of the homework to like find a buyer. So we found the buyer, and now people just literally got to like walk around with a sack and just like pull it up from the bush, and
Yeah.
like you can make money from it.
Well, and it's hard. It's interesting to know, like, We gave a sample of our turmeric off our farm a year ago, I think now,
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
maybe a little under a year ago,
Yeah.
to this export company and just said, hey, like, this is what we have. Would you be interested? And at the time, they didn't have interest in it at all.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of like a whatever.
Like, okay, wasted more time
But we
trying.
never stopped trying. That's kind of like what we
Yeah.
do. We're like, oh, we're going over to Viti Levu. Like, let's randomly just take his turmeric sample. And then
Yeah,
let's
we're
take
just
his,
putting out feelers
yeah.
because we don't know what we're doing, and we're
Mm-hmm.
like looking for opportunity. And man, we've had a lot of opportunity come at us and failed opportunity come at us, and so this could be another failure. We don't know. It could be
But this will not
something
be
awesome.
because so the buyer actually came and already picked a first shipment off my
Yeah,
farm, and like the owner of the company, who's like not a small money player, he came himself and drove up here to pick up that shipment off my farm, and so it's a different situation because it's not like, oh, is the buyer gonna come through, like the buyer who's buying from me is like already paid me money, and he's like, this is what I need more of it.
yeah,
And like, to be honest with you guys, like the shipment that I gave off my farm wasn't even fully satisfactory because I used that as like a learning experience because I wanted to do a test run and make sure that like I was able to understand what we needed to supply to
yeah.
him.
And we talked about all that in the last podcast about the difficulties with the forks and
Oh yeah,
different
that's
things like
right.
that.
Yeah,
So
that's right. That's
I
right.
think people have an
But
idea
yeah,
of
so
that.
what I guess what I'm getting at is that the money the money coming from me is for sure. Now what I need is the farmers to bring the product.
Yes.
For the first time I'm like, heck yes, we've
But
got
so the difficulty I think is farmers here have been promised a lot and
right,
sorely under delivered and so much
right.
disappointment. And so you put this out there and you got to hope that they go, "Oh, actually like you want it this week," and people are excited and actually will do it. And then keep planting or keep that wild turmeric going, because we want this to be a long-term thing, not just like we rip everything out of the ground and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'd love them to keep the young stuff in the ground, keep it growing. It's awesome. But we just need people to actually have faith that it's happening,
Yeah.
and we're going to be paying cash when it's dropped off. So regardless if the buyer comes even to buy from us, we're still going to be paying people.
Yeah.
So we're taking the risk for everybody else.
Yeah.
It's not like they have to take the risk; they just have to get it to us. In Seaqaqa, we're actually trying to put up a post tomorrow that tells all or it speaks about all the
If
details.
the internet would work.
If the internet would work. I got home and I can't even do. I was supposed to do payroll tonight in Canada, and this is like the second payroll in the month that I've had to delay for them because I have had internet issues, and tonight has just been brutal for that. So we're trying to upload this post and do a bunch of things tonight, but internet's just not our best friend. So we'll even see about this podcast. We'll be trying to put it up tomorrow,
Yeah, we'll see.
but
I'm gonna try.
yeah, we'll see about the internet.
So that's an exciting thing that will hopefully be happening in the next week. But yeah, Thursday will be the planned pickup day for that. So
yeah.
we'll see what happens. Lots of exciting opportunities. Our hearts have been broken before, if you want to call it broken or whatever. But we've been let down before.
Yeah, so
And
we're just hoping we got to put in the work and just get the word out there and try to make sure that we can deliver.
Yeah.
And I think once we do it a few times, the word will get out more and
Yeah,
more.
so I'm gonna take pictures with people that come, not take pictures with them, but take pictures and post them so people know hey, people brought stuff and they bought stuff.
Yeah.
And oh, this is happening again next week. Okay, maybe I'll take one sack. And then
and also I was thinking we put out a post and a lot of people were asking us, "What's the price? What's the price?" And I was just telling people, "Hey, just message us."
Right.
Cuz I think in our podcast we stated kind of what we're paying, but I don't think the whole world listens to that. But we just kind of I don't know, online you can really get ripped apart and also just lied to about what people pay, and John and I are also just learning. We're getting offered a certain amount and we're trying to pay farmers a decent amount. We're comparing it to what our knowledge is about the market here, and we're going, okay, this seems like a good price. So we're not trying to rip anybody off, but we also don't want to be publicly lied to or grilled about the price, or like it's easier if we can say, okay, here's the price, and we can hear if it's really bad feedback from people, then we can go, oh, okay, maybe we're not giving a good price. So far, the feedback's been really positive.
Yeah.
I think we've had like one or two people that were like telling us they got paid like triple the amount or something.
Yeah,
But
we had a few people who were like, "Oh, that's not a very good price," and it's like, well, it's hard to know, but like we have to deal with the pricing that we get on our own, and to make sure that like we can we could pay the farmers everything, all of it, but then there's nothing left for us to pay
so why would
all
we
the
do it?
logistics and like everything and like taking all the risk, and like that has to be that's worth something as well to
Yeah.
open up these markets, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it
Yeah.
goes. We're trying, we're doing our best.
But yeah, thank you guys for the support. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure some people listening to this are maybe called or texted or messaged us on Facebook, and like we're serious. And I think that's what I hope to be able to establish more. And actually, like looking back on it, like the messages that we've been getting, like nobody's really questioning us. They're just questioning the price and stuff like that. And so we appreciate you guys, like, you know, trusting us
Yeah.
that we're like saying something that's truthful. And because like I don't want to use like our platform on social media to like, I would never lie to people on that.
No.
Like, that would make no sense at all. So like if I'm saying it, it's real.
Yeah.
And
And
like Thursday is the pickup day.
we are trying to do honest business in Fiji, and I
Yeah.
think like I hope we've proven over the years in a small way to everybody that we are honest people, and all we can do is keep trying to prove to everybody
Yeah.
that we are honest people, because you can't.
Trust me, I'm an honest person. You
No,
can
I'm
trust me.
saying we prove it to people, by making sure that we have
I
a
know,
good
I know.
reputation. I don't think anyone's just going to go, yeah, for sure. You say you're honest. You must be honest. But
Yeah.
you got to hope that after a while people will get to know your character, different deals. You don't have a bad reputation out in the world, and you got to go from there, right?
Yeah. And I'd really like with this kind of stuff to kind of like I don't know, like there seems to be like a tension between like Itoke people and the Indo-Fijian people when it comes to doing business together in some communities. And I hear it all the time, and I'm like, I would like to show people that like there are individuals in any group, if you want to split people into groups, that are dishonest and dirtbags and all of this kind of stuff. But there's also people who just want to do business, and they're just humans, and we're people with families. And it's like, hopefully, if I'm the middleman, like we can do business with like all the ethnic groups, and like show that like, hey, look, we all want to make money. We all want to put food on the table for our families. Like there doesn't need to be this like prejudice between like people saying like, oh, like Indian middlemen always rip us off. It's like, well, like look at my price. Maybe it's like maybe in like a different industry it would be the same as an Indian middleman in Indian middleman in quotation marks. And it's like, oh, he's not actually ripping us off. That's just the price that they give. Because I think a lot of times people like draw lines just because of like race differences.
Yeah.
And I think that's unfair from both sides.
Well, and it's funny. Something that really has always stuck in my head for like years is when we first came to Fiji, or I was visiting Fiji. The old government had put out some advertising, and they were trying to just make Fiji say that like, we're all Fijians in Fiji, and the commercial would like show like all the different ethnic groups in Fiji, and they're like,
Right.
we're all Fijian, and I loved that. I can't comment on the last government, good or bad, but that commercial itself was great, in the sense that the government was trying to say like, hey, everybody that is Fijian,
Is Fijian.
Itoke or Indo-Fijian, or even like me, one day hopefully I can actually have my Fijian citizenship, and then I will be Fijian. And
But
what?
yeah, and
But what?
huh? No,
Don't question it. If I
No.
had my Fijian citizenship, I would also be
yeah,
Fijian.
but then I'm just thinking about like the oldies like in the village and stuff like that. Like they're like, oh, like they seem to be the ones with like the strongest opinions, but like about like who's actually Fijian, and like because it all has to relate back to the Vanua and all of this stuff, right? But one thing that I thought is super cool is that like when we go to like Vancouver Sevens, so like when people leave the islands of Fiji, like the actual location itself, and go overseas, it doesn't matter what color your
No,
skin is.
doesn't matter.
If you have a Fiji jersey on, and you're Fijian, and like I wish that people here in Fiji, like who live in Fiji, could go and experience like the Vancouver Sevens.
Oh, that's
Because
true.
yeah, because it's like Fijians, Itaukei Fijians, Indo Fijians, and like white Fijians, like probably wives of like
Oh my
other
God.
Fijian guys or whatever,
Okay, or just people that have lived here.
or people that have lived here, or husbands of Fijian women too.
Thank you.
Like they, the people who you wouldn't like look and be like, oh, that person's Fijian. Like they are like, no, you're Fijian. Like because you're like married to a Fijian, or because you're like you're wearing the Fiji jersey. Like you're part of the Fiji family. And then when you come to Fiji, it's like, oh, those are the Kaibulangis. Oh, those are the Indians. Oh, those are the Fijians. It's like, man, only in our own country, like it's like that. But once you get like split up and like put in like different countries, it's like you look for that community.
Yeah. Ooh, and that home
like
pride, like the Fiji pride.
Fiji pride.
Ooh, is really strong overseas.
Yeah.
Like it is crazy, and people are amped for their country. And people, the best thing is people that typically don't like rugby all of a sudden become rugby fanatic fans, or
Yeah.
I don't know, they just want to support home.
Yeah, and so like this like, you know, idea of like, oh, you're not really Fijian. Like it's way less like overseas because everybody's just looking for the Fiji community.
Yeah.
And like there's guys that live close to us who were like of Indian descent, and they had ties back to Fiji, and I'm like, Fijian brothers here, Fijian brothers, like we're brothers, both from Fiji.
Yeah.
Like whereas here, like that probably would be way less likely.
Way less likely.
Right?
But I think also like Canada, where I'm coming from, is like such a melting pot. Nobody is actually originally from Canada.
True.
You know, it's a country of immigrants. Everybody's come there. We're all from different backgrounds. Like I don't know anyone that has the exact same heritage as I do. You know, my mom's side's like Norwegian, I think Scottish, and my dad's side's like some German, I don't know, maybe some French mixed in there somewhere. Like, you know, it's just a mix of everything. And I don't know if someone would have the exact same heritage that I have. You know, maybe one person, two people, they'd be like, oh yeah, so similar, crazy. But it doesn't really matter to us. We're all Canadian. We're born there or either have our citizenship there, and that's kind of that, you know. So I always find that kind of interesting. And Fiji will one day become that. Like there's lots of Chinese immigrants in Fiji.
Yeah. Lots of Chinese people, lots of Korean friends when I was growing up
yeah.
in Nandi. Like, yeah.
Fiji is becoming the melting pot
Of the Pacific.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's awesome, bringing all this culture, new food, and different perspectives. I love it.
Yeah.
So, I currently am exhausted. I spent the day baking in our tea and coffee shop in Seaqaqa.
Making sticky buns.
Making sticky buns.
Yeah.
Woohoo. So this
The
episode
lady
is,
Oh.
sponsored by Fresh Tea and Coffee in Seaqaqa.
You got this. Keep going. Keep it going.
Okay, I'm laughing. We're between Savu Savu and Lambasa. We're right in the middle. If you want to stop, coffee, tea, lattes, sticky buns. We are going to hopefully bring food to you guys in the next month.
Yeah. We're looking to add in a menu.
Yeah.
So that people can come in and have food. But Seaqaqa is like, yeah, pretty much, it's roughly like halfway between Savu Savu and Lambasa. Probably close to the Lambasa side.
And you just have to turn at the police station in towards it and then go down the road. You'll see we've got like 3 signs. You know, it's on your right-hand side.
Yeah, across from Seaqaqa Primary School. It's across the street from Seaqaqa Primary School. So when you come, no matter what side or what end of town you're coming in from, you just turn in the direction of the police station.
That's right.
So
not hard to find.
So anyways, the lady who usually makes our cinnamon buns was just sick, had a bit of a medical thing going on, and so you had to kind of come in as backup.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we don't run out of product. We only have a very limited menu, so we want to make sure that we always have that available.
Yeah.
But the laughable thing is I taught her how to make these. We did switch to her dough recipe just to make it easier on her. And then I had to get the dough recipe.
Which was actually better than your dough recipe was.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's just different.
Right.
Like my dough recipe is
There's
just
something about the yeast in Fiji.
yeah. I was struggling with getting my dough recipe from home to rise properly. That's why we said let's stick with yours because yours does well in this climate, and then hopefully there'll be no issues. So I was using her recipe tonight. I had taken the oven, put it in the shop, and was just kind of whipping up a lot of batches, and I struggled because when I do them at home I make them rather small. Like I don't want to eat like an entire
Loaf?
loaf. I don't
A
want to have
sticky loaf?
a huge thing. And when she's making them for the shop, they're quite large, and so I had to do like a few test batches to see how to get them that big. So lucky we put out free samples. If you guys come to the store and you're not sure you like
There's going to be
it,
a lot of free samples in the
free
next couple
samples.
weeks.
So I've got a whole couple bags of free samples, so you guys are welcome to test it before you buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was in there. I came home and the kids were like, "Oh, Mom, you smell so good.
Oh, they said that too? Because I said
Delicious.
that.
Ooh."
I said that. You walked into the room. I'm like, you smell like a Cinnabon factory.
Yeah, and my hair probably still smells like that because I didn't wash it. But I gotta go to bed, and my pillow will get moldy if I sleep with wet hair, so we're not going there.
Oh, yeah. Please don't.
We'll just leave like the sweet smell in there for a little while longer. But I just put my headphones in. I was just whipping up, doing dough. I am the worst baker ever, so I just told everybody, don't talk to me. I have to be rude today and just concentrate because I do not bake well.
And it went well.
It went okay. It could have been better. I definitely burnt the first batch, turned the oven too high. And then it progressed and went better from there. So I made sure I checked out those ones. We don't want to give you guys any low quality item. And the tester ones were too small, so I made sure I got bigger ones for you guys. And I think we are stocked
It's going to be good.
for the week until our baker is back on board. And if she needs more time, I will get back at it. I promise. Oh, and I did some test food tonight. I did a test pizza in the oven.
Okay.
So we're gonna see.
We're thinking about things.
We're thinking about
We're
things.
thinking about things. No promises, but
Yeah, no promises.
Yeah, pizza is on the ideas menu. So
Yeah.
not on the actual menu, but on the ideas menu.
Yeah.
So
So we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
we'll see
It'll
where
be
that goes.
Interesting, but
It's crazy in the village right now. There's like so many people here, and the music is just like.
and it's been on since last night. Like they had a birthday party in Lambasa.
Yeah.
And then they came home, and the party has just kept going.
Kept going. So this is the, like.
Second night of music.
Yeah.
But it's been all day.
Not
Like they
only
haven't
Wakatawa
shut the
say.
music off.
Yeah. This is like New Year's season, what they call it. Like, it's still the season of New Year's. Like New Year's in Fiji. Christmas and New Year's is not like a day or like a week. It's like a season. Like
It's a season.
That's literally what I was talking to one of my uncles today. I'm like, man, this is really going, hey? He's like, yeah, this is, New Year's season. And so it was actually interesting. I was talking to my grandma today, and she was, she was saying like, these kids, they need to get back to work. Like, this is, lasts too long. They waste time, and all they do is drink grog and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's kind of the feeling that I had, I was like, it's time to get back at it, And I think it's because like, well, of course Jonathan thinks that. Like he's got a big like turmeric thing, like order, and like he wants people to get back to work and bring turmeric, right?
Can you guys stop celebrating the New Year and help me out?
Yeah. Can you guys stop celebrating and just go pull some turmeric, please? Like, let's make some money here, man.
Then we'll celebrate.
Then we can celebrate. Yeah, let's make some money. Then let's celebrate together. Let's do the first shipment at least. And so, yeah. And so she was actually saying that my grandfather, and he was known for this kind of stuff. Like Christmas Day, like everybody plants dalo, at least in this area, like for Christmas season, Christmas Day. And so like you plant it at the right time so that it's mature by Christmas. And then she said like on Boxing Day or a day after Christmas, he would go around and gather all like the dalo tops from like all the houses, like with people's permission, and then he'd go plant them. And so within like I think 1 or 2 days, he will have planted like a few hundred dalo like on his farm way up in the mountain back there. And then like by this time he will have like weeded everything and it will be done. And then like, so he would go out and then come back. He would go out to the farm and then come back, and then he would like partake in like the New Year's season and stuff like that. And I was like, like you always hear stories like that, like, oh, it's not like it used to be, like that's how it should be or whatever. Like, and I feel myself even getting old because I'm like saying things like that, like these kids, oh, they're just wasting time and they're partying too much, and this is a season. It should be like a week, Like I'm like that old person now. But then like she was also telling me stories about like how like there was guys back then who instead of drinking Yangona, like they would be drinking like the spirit thing that people talk about, spirits, like dimethylated spirit or something. It's like something that it's like an alcohol they use at the hospitals.
Oh,
And it's like
really?
yeah. And it's like a thing they used to use I think in lanterns, like the pump lanterns. But they would
Oh,
drink it and
oh
it
my
caused a lot of
gosh.
brain damage. And I've heard Dad tell me stories about this before, if you're listening to this, Dad, about people who would drink that, and like it was like very very strong, and like they would they would usually like mix it in other things like to like get the taste down, and like because it was so strong.
Maybe like lessen the brain damage.
Yeah, but there's people like, and I've seen some people walking around on the highway out here, and they're like just like they look like they're stoned out of their mind all the time.
Yeah.
And then I've asked people like, oh, who is that person? Like, oh, that person's drank spirits and now he's like lost his mind or whatever. Kind of like sniffing gas or sniffing glue or something like that. And so I'm like, where I'm going with this, everybody, is that like, it's like sometimes you think like,
The good old days.
yeah, the good old days were good. They're just old, but they're not just old. They were good. And then it's like you hear other stories. It's like, okay, but instead of like sitting around drinking grog and partying all day like these guys are doing, they were like sitting around drinking grog and then like smashing like fuel in the evenings.
That's much worse. Let's
Right?
be honest.
So it's like, a bit of give, bit of take.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, and like, I think the good old days are reflected by like maybe 1 out of 10 really great men or women that did good things.
And you remember that.
And you remember them
Yeah.
being awesome.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and then the other 9 people were not so amazing, but they didn't stand out to you. And then we look at the few people now and go, oh, like, you're not being amazing.
Yeah, it's
And
so
go,
true.
oh, like the good old days. But you're not thinking about the good old days and like the majority of people. You're thinking about like the few standout people that did exceptional things. And you were like, back in the day, people were exceptional and now people are not.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we remember sometimes is like the standout outliers that were exceptional and were great. And then we compare people that are just being average people and being like, why are you not great like
Yeah.
that person?
Yeah.
So
That's life though, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's how our brains want to remember
And every
things.
generation will have outliers that do amazing things, and then the rest of us will just stay average, and and people will be like, oh.
But I'm not going to
Good old
start
days.
drinking gasoline, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's not gasoline, but it's like, it's really bad for you.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's right.
What'd you learn in your Bible this week? In your readings?
In
your
my
tens
readings,
of pages?
to be honest, I told you right away I did not learn a lot because I was having a hard time getting through it. I did
Right.
take a picture of a couple things, but I didn't even think about. I was supposed to read them before we got on here. Just 1 second. I'm just gonna read this quickly. You go ahead and start.
Okay, so I'm just trying to find it here. So I'm just starting at the beginning of the Bible, so in Genesis. And it quite quickly goes like through Adam, Cain and Abel, and then all of a sudden you're like into the Noah story, and then like onto Abram, and it's like, wow, this like story goes really, really, really fast. But what stood out to me when we were talking about Noah, so for those of you who don't know, Noah was the guy who like loaded up the big boat with like all the different animals, like 2 of every kind of animal, and then God flooded the earth because he was really upset because there was nothing good going on, but he told Noah, and Noah listened and built this big boat and brought his family on board, and they were able to survive and recreate. And so at the end of that story, the God makes, or puts this rainbow in the sky. And what I never really understood about this story, and what I told to Stephanie, was that like I always thought that like the rainbow, and so this is like a conversation that I don't have closure to. This is like an idea or something that I was made aware of, that is maybe just going to create more questions for people. But I always thought that the rainbow was a reminder to us that God would never flood the earth again. And so when we see a rainbow, it's like, oh, what an awesome reminder, which I think it is, but it's also something else, and maybe something else even more. Um, and I'll read it for you here. So this is in Genesis chapter 9, where we start. Yeah, verse 11. I establish my covenant with you. So this is God saying to Noah, never again will all life be cut off by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. So, yes, it will be a reminder, to us as well. Okay, so now back to the reading. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth, and this is God still talking, all right? So he says, whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you and all the living creatures of every kind. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy life. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures of every kind on earth. So God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant I've established between me and all life on earth. So the rainbow is not even like it's not it, it's like it's a sign. So when we see it, we know what it means. But like it's also like God saying like when the rainbow happens, like I will be reminded, inferring that like once he sets in progress like once he set in progress like the scientific order of things, like light refracting off of like rain droplets, which is what makes a rainbow. It's like that just happens now. Like God isn't like making every rainbow. Like he's not like thinking like, oh, I'll put a rainbow there and I'll put a rainbow there. But like rainbows are happening, and he has set the world in motion, and like even he is like reminded of his covenant with us when a rainbow happens, which I think is like it's really interesting because I I think as a logical person I try to wrap my head around God, and like I try to understand everything, and I'm like, well, God knows everything, which I do believe, but like reminding him, being reminded of something to me infers that like he forgets. But maybe I don't think that's actually it. I think it's that like he's not thinking about making all the rainbows. I think the rainbows are happening. He sees the rainbows and he's reminded of his covenant. Sorry, that's a long spiel, but you guys can take from that what it is. I hope that made sense.
Yeah. I was reading, this is super different than what you're talking about, but I'm reading in Romans. Um, and I think I took a picture of this part of the verse because I find when I'm reading so much scripture, it's hard for me to concentrate on one thing. And so if I read too much of it after a while, I'm like, I don't even know what I read. There's so much information.
I think you just gotta chill.
Well, I do get overloaded. That's why I typically only read one verse. So we all have different brains. Mine gets overloaded. So I took a picture of something that stood out to me so I could look back on it later instead of just being like, what was that thing I
Right,
read that was
right.
interesting? So and I don't know what chapter it is. I didn't take a picture of where I found it, but it is in Romans. And it's just talking about Adam's. It says the title of it is like Death Through Adam, Life Through Christ. And it says, part of the verse says, therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, and in this way death came to all men, because all have sinned. I just like, that just stood out to me, because I think because we've been dealing with so many people in our lives with health issues and things like that, I think I was really thinking lately about like, okay, God is not doing this to people. It's sin that's doing it. And even though sin is not a person, it's an action. And I don't know, I just was reading this going like, okay, sin is into the world through one man. and death through sin. And in this way, death has come to everybody because we all are sinners.
Mm.
I'm like, whoa, okay, yeah, that's true. Like, because sin is there, we die. And to die, well, we either have to get really old or really sick.
Yeah.
And that's why this is happening. It's, I don't know, I think I like read that and I was like, okay, yeah, that's true. It's not God. It's not that I should be angry with God. It's that this is life, I guess, and we are sinful, and so
Mm-hmm.
sin equals death. And sin is like, I don't know, lots of people have a hard time with the concept of like, I'm a sinner, because we all want to think that we're good people, we do good things.
Yeah.
But sin is just simple, basic things. Like if you see someone and you're jealous of what they have, that's sinful. Like it's very little, minute things. It's not like this big, like, I did this horrible thing. A lot of our sin is thoughts.
Yeah.
Like in the Bible, it talks about how like sin is just as equal in your head as it is in action. And I think like I do a lot of sinning in my head, less so action wise, I would hope. I do lots action wise, but I think I do a lot in my head. And I think it's interesting to think about like, yeah, every single day I sin and I do not deserve God's grace and mercy. And with God's gift, I don't actually have to, like, my soul doesn't die.
Mm-hmm.
Like my soul has eternal life with Christ. And John and I were talking about, like, wow, it's such a weird thing how, like, life is such a gift that God's given us. And even though it's hard and a difficult gift, like, we value it so much. And when we see people's lives being taken away or they're sick, we're like, whoa, like, we appreciate having this gift
Yeah.
so
It's a
much
weird
more.
like. It's a weird balance. Like we just got news today of another friend or another good friend who has cancer,
Yeah, and
and
she
it.
did have breast cancer. The year we moved out of Canada, she had just beaten breast cancer. And, like, that was amazing. And then just this morning, I found out that she's gotten stage 4 cancer. Ugh.
Yeah.
And it's been just awful. Like, just too many tragic things happening all at one
And
time.
tragic, like people dying, but also tragic being like having to have having to watch makes it sound like, oh, it's hard to watch. Like that means it's hard for me. It's it's frustrating.
It's
Like
frustrating. You can't fix
you
it.
can't fix it, and you want to fix it. You know, whether this is with Kai or whether this is with our friend, you know, back in Canada. It's like it's this weird. It's this weird like um dichotomy almost like between like you have this appreciation for the health that you have in these moments. We're like, wow, we're so grateful for being in good health, like our kids are with us and like they're alive, but then that appreciation is coming to you because of you're seeing like what other people don't get to have and the health that they're not getting to enjoy and the
Mm,
lives that they're not getting to live. And it's
yeah.
like, whoa. So I'm trying to be grateful, and I am grateful because I'm looking at them, but then I'm also like dealing with like why is this happening?
Yeah, well, and I think it's really cool, at least the people that we're surrounded with. Um, Alita, Kai's mom, sent a video to a group chat about Kai singing worship music and praising God, and I'm like, wow, okay, like this like joyful little boy.
Mm.
And then I was on the phone with my friend tonight. Sorry, it's just like very new to me, and she's just like so strong and like making these like horribly inappropriate jokes about death. Um,
Oh really?
yeah, and she's just got like this like hilariously sick and twisted humor. You'd
Huh.
have to meet her to get it,
That is
but
her though.
it is her. And I'm like, I'm laughing with her, and then at the same time, like, this is horrifying. Why are we laughing? Glad like you made the joke,
Huh.
but like, what? And I think like she's just a joyful human being, and it's hard for her to
Mm.
to get away from that. And it's, I don't know, I think like it's weird how like she is uplifting me where I should be
Yeah,
uplifting
or
her.
like
I'm like,
we're like listening to to the videos of Kai like singing worship songs, it's like, what? Like that, how he's encouraging me right now. And I wrote that in my response, like on that on the private group chat that we have. I'm like, Kai's an encouragement to me because I'm
Mm.
like, I don't know how else to say it. And like, man, there's like things that like I was like thinking of like saying like I'm processing this with openly on the podcast because I haven't talked about it with you. But I was like, I was thinking of like writing things that are like, I love you and appreciate who you are and like just like how this has encouraged me and like thinking all these things that like I should probably be saying to people like who aren't in these situations even,
Mm.
you know like people who are just good friends and people who do just encourage me and also just like figuring out like why it takes like a situation like this for me to be like that person encourages me.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I feel like John and I are walking through a bit of a heavy season since we've
Yeah,
started
sorry guys.
maybe
Yeah,
the podcast. But I guess it's life. I think everybody goes through these kinds of things. And yeah, we all kind of just have to bear it with each other. And I think John and I are learning a lot through it. It's just hard when it comes in like such like crazy bouts
mm.
and like we're not going to talk about this, but I've got quite a few other people in the background right now that are just going through some insane health things, and it's like, okay, can this be the last one? Like, I just on our Seven, I had like this heat rash, this crazy heat rash for the last 2 days, and some like um like some allergic reactions on his legs. I'm pretty sure it's just from him running in the tall grass, and being in the AC too long and pool too many days, and now being in the heat. His little white skin can't quite handle it, and so
Right.
he's reacting. But like I had a complete panic the other day, being like, "What's wrong with him?" Like
Yeah.
I was kind of just being like, I don't know if I can deal with anything here. And he's got the child has just got so many cuts right now. I'm like, dude, can you just slow down and wear some boots and like not have so many things that I have to worry about? Like, I don't need an infection to deal with. I just need you to be completely put you in a bubble,
Yeah.
and I need you in a sterile environment so I can just get through this time and make sure you're fine as well and not
Yeah.
have a mother mental breakdown. So, yeah,
Yeah.
just
Interesting.
bubble wrap everyone.
Yeah, I
Let's
wish
do
we
it.
could.
Let's do it.
I wish we could. And I've
Okay.
always thought about like, man, we are not getting younger, and like, neither are our parents. And like you always hear about like just the most depressing podcast in the world.
Yeah, I was going to cut you off and say too many heavy things.
No, but like it's something that's on my mind. It's like I, growing up, like hearing about people who have like lost loved ones, and like it just feels like all this culminating is like it's like getting like us like ready for like Stephanie said this morning, like what's coming for us, and it's like, okay, we need to be like preparing our hearts and stuff because like it is coming for us in one way or another. I'm not talking about parents or
Your kids or
kids or
anything.
whatever. I mean, and it could be those or whatever, but it's like, what? It's important to take these times, mourn well with people and bear with people well, and take burdens from your friends that you can take and help
Mm.
them out in ways that you can, but also to use this time to be grateful and to prepare your heart for like where is your real joy lie, because like life is such a gift that like we don't know how much we love until it's like threatened and taken away. And so it's like, how do we appreciate that and live it to its fullest,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Okay, we're going to play our little card game.
Yes.
It's our game of the night. What level are we doing?
We're just gonna do level 1 because I just picked out a good card.
Okay, perfect.
Well, I'm saying it's a good card, but I don't actually know how I'm gonna answer it. So here we go. Level 1 is perception in this game. All right, so this little card game that me and Steph play just to have good conversations. We played it on every podcast. So this says, how do I show you I'm upset without telling you I'm upset?
Oh, you get so quiet and like, I don't know, you just are silent.
I say it's just in your face.
Yeah, I don't have a mask. You can
No,
tell my
you have
emotions.
zero poker face.
Zero poker face over here.
Yeah. So maybe I'm like a bit quiet or something.
You
or
get
a bit...
really quiet when you're upset.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you just ignore me, I guess. Like it's like silence and
I think the right
ignoring
answer
me.
to this question for Stephanie is like, how does Stephanie show you she's upset without telling you she's upset? She doesn't.
I was gonna say that too. She doesn't.
Stephanie tells you she's upset, pretty much.
If
And
I-
like in not in necessarily that you'll say it, but like your face says it. Like your face, you just might as well say it. Just looking at you, it's like, okay. You
and
like what your face is telling me right now is worse than all the words that you could tell me right now.
yeah. Or I don't think that's been like very often that I haven't said it to you.
No.
Like I think there definitely has been like an after we fought, like the face is definitely throwing daggers at you
Right.
for however long until we solve it. I think that's pretty apparent, but you already know it happened. I don't think there's a lot of times where I hold my tongue. I don't do that very well. Like if I'm upset, I'm kind of like, you need to know I'm upset. You need to fix this, and it needs to happen now.
Yeah.
I don't really do the like, let's push this under the rug and just let it pile up until I explode and rip your head off. I'm like, I'm going to do all those things and do it now so we can move on from this.
Oh dear. I don't want to talk about it anymore, actually. Now I'm getting scared.
Oh yeah, terrified. And you, I don't know. I feel like you hold on to it for a little bit.
Yeah, but I want to fix things pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Typically.
I feel like you mull it over.
Yeah.
And then you like talk to me about it. And I would say the times that you do blurt it out, it's probably a great thing that you mull it over, because sometimes like you're very good at like thinking through how to say things, but to me you don't do that as much. And so when you do just
Right.
blurt it out, you say it in a
I'm
really
not as strategic with you.
no,
for sure.
and sometimes
And I should be.
and you say it like in a really like worse way. So sometimes when you're angry, I feel like you escalate the fight more because you just say it in a bad way, and then I'm like, oh yeah, you want to go? I love a good fight.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes we
Details.
need it.
People need to stick to the details.
Oh, the details.
So I
What
should-
did you say to me this morning? You got really mad at me this morning or the other day. I don't even. Yeah, it was yesterday, because I was like, John, I was getting all mad at him. Like, you need to put up this turmeric post. We need to get going on this. Like, it's already like noon and you still haven't done it. Like, I was reaming him out for it. I'm like, because I asked him early in the morning, and then I remember you being like, noon, it's 11. Like, it's still.
No, you said it's afternoon.
I said it's
It's
the
already
afternoon. It's already
afternoon.
the afternoon. And to me, that's like, it's like lunchtime. Like, I'm like a generalizationer. Like, I'm like, it's generally like the afternoon. Like, I could eat lunch around now, so it's like noon. And John's like, it's 11. Like, I cannot stand when you, like, you push it forward to prove your point.
Well, I'm just gonna put a poll out there. Like, don't you guys think it's wrong to like to prove a point in an argument, nonetheless, with a point that's not actually correct? It's like it's already afternoon.
It's
like,
correct to
well-
me. It's the afternoon. I'm like,
So Stephanie exists in her own reality. I think that's what we found here. Is that like
hey,
Stephanie?
other people that generalize are going to be on my team, and other people that are perfectionists can be with you.
Yeah. All
But
right. So
I'm
is
just gonna
11
say-
afternoon or is 11 the morning? Thanks, guys. I know who's gonna win this competition.
That was not the
Jonathan.
point. Anyway, I had asked you earlier in the day, and you were just procrastinating, and I couldn't stand it anymore.
Yeah, so that's where we run into each other sometimes. Is like I'm like the details person, and like trying to like play in my hand, and then be like, oh, if I say this, then like what about that? If I do this, then what about that? And then to her, it looks like procrastination. So I mean,
Yeah.
I guess there's probably a lot of couples out there that like struggle with this stuff.
Well,
so,
I'm like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to get done, and it has to get
Yeah.
going.
So like I ended up being like a little bit of both, because like I figured out some details in the couple hours that like she thought I was procrastinating, and then you jumped on me and told me that like I just need to get it out there, and I did. And I was like, there's a couple more things I'd like to figure out before doing this, but like that's why we're a good team, though.
And I'm
Right?
always like, on your marks, get set,
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
Yeah. So it works great.
So, anyways, guys, this Thursday, I'll be looking for turmeric. So if you're listening to this, you got family in Vanua Levu, even if you live overseas, just tell them to go check out our page because I'll be releasing details all week. And if they want a phone number to call or they want to message us on Facebook, or if you want to message us or give us a call, I will be buying turmeric, and you just need to drop it off in Seaqaqa this week. There's a lot of people asking for it from VT Levu as well, if they can supply it. If there is a lot of supply from a certain area, if there's a group of people who want to put a bunch together, yeah, I'll come pick it up. No problem.
Oh,
So,
and one thing that we didn't mention our last podcast was we didn't say thank you to the company or Christine who runs a printing business.
Phoenix Creative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Phoenix
Is
Creative.
that who you're talking about?
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
making sure. I was pulling up her business name because I wanted to make sure that I had it correct. But
Yeah, it's Phoenix Creative Fiji.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
great to work with. We're hoping to work with her in the near future here.
Some more, yeah.
But she did great putting all this stuff up for Kai and doing orders and
In the t-shirts, yeah,
crushing
because
it
we made fundraiser t-shirts for Malachi, who was sick. That's why we were in Suva. And Christine messaged us, and a lot of you messaged, actually. A lot of people messaged. It's just she messaged me and her logo caught my eye, and it was like the right time when we started talking, and she just like took it all off.
and she took such good
our
like
plate.
initiative.
Yeah.
Like that's something like I was impressed by. Christine, if you're listening to this, good on you, girl. Like I love that. I love people that just like chase after something, that go hard
Yeah.
and
own it.
and own it. And
Yeah.
you're a mother, and that's even cooler for me, especially like I know how hard it is to have children in the background and still pushing yourself to do business and build something for yourself.
And I think what
Props to you.
I could tell people from what I learned from Christine, like that, I mean, we might have even talked about this before, is like when you're going out to like either as if you're an employee or if you're like a business owner or you have a product and you're looking to like sell it, it's like, how can you help somebody else make their job easier? And that's basically what like Christine's approach was with me.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, let me take this off your plate. Like, I'll take the orders, I'll fulfill them. Like, here's the number that you can share. And that was like really helpful to me, and that is initiative that is really, really appreciated. And it's like, that helps you sell products more rather than saying like, hey, here's my product and this is why you need it. It's like, hey, how can I help make your job easier?
Yeah.
And
so John and I want to work with great people in Fiji. We think Christine is one of those great people. We're hoping to get some merch stuff with her in the next couple months going here. The next few weeks is a little bit of a madhouse for us, so we haven't even like sat down and chatted about it.
Yeah.
But I know
we'll be doing some exciting things though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
we got
Christine,
we
will talk to you
we
soon.
got ideas. Yeah.
Okay, good night,
Yeah.
everybody. We're gonna wrap up here. It's late, so
Yep.
we're gonna go to bed, and we'll see you next
It's
week.
actually 12:06 a.m. So that is morning.
Oh my gosh. Okay, good morning, Fiji, and good night for us.
This episode was brought to you by Fresh Tea+Coffee. So we'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much.
Good morning. Goodbye.
Good morning. We're out.